A day one job.
He bought donuts,
Yeah.
that's the talk of the town, he bought donuts.
Make a motion that Diane J. Stifler be named Clerk of the Council pro tem in absence of the Clerk of the Council.
Second.
The second the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
I'll read. I
I, Diane Stifler,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will be a true faith and allegiance
to be true faith and allegiance
to the Commonwealth of
to
Massachusetts,
the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
will support the Constitution thereof,
will support the Constitution thereof,
as the Clerk of City Council pro tem,
as the Clerk of City Council pro tem,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I
I, Diane Stifler,
do hereby accept
do hereby accept
the position of City Clerk
the position of City Clerk
of City Council pro tem,
of City Council pro tem,
to act in this capacity
to act in this capacity
for the purpose
for the purpose
of the City Council meeting
for the purpose of City Council meeting
of January 2nd, 2024,
January 2nd, 2024,
and do hereby promise
and do hereby promise
to act in accordance
to act in accordance
with statutes and ordinances
with statutes and
to the
ordinances
best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I make a motion to suspend the rules to allow Mayor Concanon to speak.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Mr. President, congratulations on your election.
Thank you, as well as you.
Thank you. And to the new members, congratulations as well. I just wanted to come down tonight and extend my best wishes to the council for a successful upcoming term, and to remind you, as I have since the election, that I look forward to working with you collaboratively, and I want you to know that the door to the mayor's office is always open to each and every one of you. I know one of you have already taken advantage of that. I look forward to meeting with Councilor Mercer Bruin on Thursday, but I do wish that you will frequent the office, know that you're always welcome, and again, I look forward to working with you in 2024 and 2025. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Make a
Mayor
motion to
Concan.
return to the regular order of business?
Second.
The second, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
First item on the agenda is a petition by Suntree Estates LLC for a special permit under sections 5.1 subsection 12 and 15.6 subsection C, BI of the Woburn zoning ordinance to allow for a childcare center at 205-213 Cambridge Road. Make a motion that the matter be referred to a public hearing.
Second.
The motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Next item on the agenda under new petitions is a petition by Citizens Bank for a special permit with site plan review under sections 11.6 subsection 10, section 7.3, sections 13.5, and sections 18.4 for the demolition of a portion of the building and construction of a new building addition with a drive-up ATM service at 1 Commerce Way. Make a motion that the matter be referred to a public hearing.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes.
Next item on the agenda is petition by Suntree Estates LLC for a special permit under sections 5.1 subsection 12 and 18.3.1 of Woburn zoning ordinance to allow for childcare center and shared parking with adjacent premise at 205 and 213 Cambridge Road. Public hearing was open. A communication was dated December 18th, 2023, which was received by the city clerk from Attorney Christopher Alphen requesting for leave without prejudice, or leave to withdraw without prejudice. Make a motion that communication be received, made part of the permanent record.
Second.
Motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
President Dillon, I see that Attorney Robrowski is here, if he wanted to speak on this.
Sure.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. I wish you a happy new year and much success in your endeavors. I'm here simply to inform you that we've withdrawn with prejudice, without prejudice, I should say, and we hope to be back at a public hearing at the next available opportunity. Just to give you an update, the house is coming down, and so we are now able to move the building slightly to the right, as you see it on the plan. That opens up the setback to conformance with the ordinance. And also, the open space will now be in conformance because it's one lot. The house coming down puts it over the 50% requirement. So we've reapplied for this. It's obviously been vetted thoroughly by the Committee on Special Permits. We hope that the process can be streamlined, and I look forward to seeing you in February. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy New
Thank you.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Any questions?
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I may. I thought we were going at a good pace within the special permits meetings that we've had so far. Hopefully, we can continue with speaking about what issues that still might come up, and I know the neighbors still have some issues as well, so I'd like to address those in the special permit committee meeting.
We look forward to working with you.
Anyone else?
Make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Counselor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak on this matter? Please come forward. How are you tonight?
Hi, I'm fine.
State your name and address, please.
My name's Judy Stafford. I live at 215 Cambridge Road.
Thank you.
I'm just here because I don't understand the process. And maybe I could have
Sure.
that out on my own, but I don't understand why, it seemed like they were almost approved at the last meeting,
Yeah.
but we just needed to come today to get them approved. So I'm curious.
I think I may be able to help you, and if I say
Okay, so
anything
I'm done then, so.
out of line, Councilor Bobrowski could correct me, but there's been a change in the council. We have 2 new members, and I believe the petitioner just felt that it would be in their best way to go about business is to bring it in front of a whole new full council. Am I correct? Yes, Mr. President. So that kind of explains. Does that help?
Well, except for the part of.
Please come back.
President Dillon, if I could also
Sure.
elaborate on that. So what would happen, Judy, is that only 7 aldermen would be allowed to vote on the petition. The 2 newer councilors would not be able to. So now that it's, they're withdrawing without prejudice, that means they get to see all of the information and they will be able to vote on it. And even though we did have the 2 councilors that were elected, they weren't technically sitting with us, but they were there to witness what was going on. So that's why.
So this is kind of a normal process?
It is. It's just it just happened to come at the end of the year and at the at a time when the city council was changing and we got new councilors and we actually got a new mayor at the same time.
So there's not like under the, it seemed like, is there something going on here that we don't know about?
No. And as a matter of fact, you are right. They were very close, right at the very end. I'm thrilled that the house is coming down. Having that one driveway instead of the 2, I think is huge, because what's happening now is that we don't have to worry about the cars coming in onto Cambridge Road and being stuck there trying to get into the parking lot. The parking lot is now big enough that they can rope around, and so there should not be any more cars spilling onto Cambridge Road, which is huge. That was one of, I think, the
If it
council's biggest issues. So they reconfigured that whole design, and then I requested that there be trees on the Cambridge Road side so that we're not really seeing the building so much, and it really fits more into the R1 zone because of the trees that will be there and the landscaping. So we will, as Councilor Viola said, we will see them in special permit so that, we can figure out if there's anything else that's needed at that point.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Campbell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's also important to note, too, that the petitioner has filed with the new application plans that show those changes and
Yes.
codify those changes
Yes.
as a draft before us, as opposed to just a promise made in committee. These are actual changes that are now part of the petition. So that is an important thing to note.
Thank you for that clarification. Anyone else? Anyone from the public that would like to also? Yes.
Good evening, Colleen Delano, 210 Cambridge Road. It seems like we're all excited about the new plans that have been proposed with, the driveway going more towards the Winchester part of Cambridge Road, et cetera. And perhaps this is going to pass. My question is, if it does pass and they construct the Goddard School and it does house 180 kids on a daily basis and the traffic does become terrible and causes safety concerns for the community and the neighborhood, what is our plight then? What is our recourse? We, the citizens in the neighborhood of Day Circle, what do we do, if it does become an abomination like, the area down in Market Basket where the Chick-fil-A is now petitioning to perhaps have a new construction. So what is our recourse if indeed it becomes a safety concern, which we have reiterated each time we've come before you? I think, the new plans and just drawing up and removing the driveway further down and having the dual entrance, it's still, the bottom line is that the traffic's going to be a nightmare, and it's really going to impact the safety of the community of Day Circle. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are regarding that.
Councilor Demias?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. So basically, the great thing about the special permit process in Woburn is we have the ability, any petitioner who gets a special permit will have conditions listed in there. And if we can find that there's any violation of any of those conditions, or if it's violating any of the findings, we'll be able to bring them back in to discuss that and special
Okay.
permit. We have the ability to do a special permit review in the special permit committee.
Okay, and that sounds reasonable, but I got to tell you that Colonial Cadillac, which used to be Olson Cadillac, when Olson drew up its renovation to, expand their showcase area, there were supposed to be conditions, regarding landscaping, to be sure that the Cambridge Road side, wouldn't have full visage of the construction area in the showcase. So, I can tell you that landscape today does not exist. Perhaps we as the neighboring communities should have come before you, sooner than now to say that they really haven't, fully committed to what their criteria should have been. But I'm just concerned as well. It sounds all well and good, but 5 years down the line, whatever shrubbery that they put is probably going to be not there. And we are right across, myself. We reside at 210, and we're right across from there, and I can just foresee that we're going to have, full view of, the traffic and the kids coming and going, and, it's just going to impact, our daily lives,
It's totally understood.
and perhaps the resale of our house if and when we go, to that point.
Councilor Viola?
Thank you. I can assure you, living right around the corner, that I drive past there multiple times a day, that I do hear your concerns, and if there's any issues that I do see, I will pull them back in front of the special permit committee, as well as reach out to the building commissioner as well. So,
Okay. And then just one final point. It just seems that the Goddard School really, although it's being built in Woburn, it's really not going to benefit, the citizens of Woburn. I don't think that there's many of the Woburn citizens that are going to have, the financial security to have their children attend this daycare. So although it's being built in, the west side of Woburn, I think really it's going to benefit our neighboring communities, Winchester, Concord, Lexington, et cetera. So I'd just like you, the council, for us, the citizens of Woburn, to keep that and be mindful of that going forward when you actually vote upon it. Appreciate it.
Councilor Bruin?
Oh, thank you, President Dillon. Everything you heard tonight about special permits is 100% accurate. But also, what you didn't hear is this council does have the authority under our special permits guidelines to revoke a special permit. It is not something we have exercised for a very long time, and it typically would require some pretty drastic standards, but we absolutely have that authority, just so you know. The language in the special permit matters. When you mentioned some things from another special permit, things being gone. When we use words like in perpetuity, they matter. So if there's a fence that needs to be installed, it needs to be maintained in perpetuity. That language absolutely matters, and I can assure you we'll all be making sure that the language is as tight as it can be to protect you, to protect your neighbors.
Okay. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
thank you.
Anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Sure.
Sorry, Judy Stafford again. I just have so many requests. But also, I'm just wondering about this. So they maybe don't actually meet the special permit requirements, and you tell them they have to meet them? And they have a building a huge building. I mean, so they're going to build a commercial building in a residential neighborhood. And this is something that's been bothering me at the sort of low-grade level for a long time. It's like, that building's not going anywhere. So if they build the building and then the traffic's ridiculous, you can't tell them tear down the building. The building's gonna be there forever. So this is a permanent change to the neighborhood forever. Because it'll never go back. You can't take a building down and sell those lots for houses. As a matter of fact, what he paid for that land now, he can't sell that land for houses. So he's in a bind. We're all in a bind because that land was sold for way too much money. And that's probably what's upsetting me more than anything else, is that we're being forced into this because the land was sold for too much money. So anyway, that's, just think about the fact that there is going to be a commercial building. Don't think of it as a school. It's not like they're moving a school into the house that's there. They're going to build a big concrete structure. And it's going to sit there just like the Primrose forever. So that means that Four Corners is moving towards Winchester. And it's not going to take my house in my lifetime, which is right, the next house toward Winchester. But do we want Woburn to crawl all the way to Mahoney's? That's just something to think about.
Just from the chair, it is the Dover Amendment we're dealing with.
I do understand that, and that, to me, is something that I will probably start talking to the state about, because it's okay to say, put a school in there, but it's not okay to build a big commercial building in there. That's the problem. So I mean, I know that we don't have a choice about it, but I just wanted to voice that because it makes me feel better. Thank you.
President Dillon?
Yes.
I'm sorry, just, perhaps that's a good question for us to ask our city solicitor. There is going to be a building built, but we're having these conversations here today because it's under the Dover Amendment and it's allowed. So in the event that a school isn't there someday, what happens? I think that's a legitimate question that the neighbors are asking, and I don't know the answer to it, but maybe some of you do. I think they'd have to put another school there, right? I think. But probably we need to know the answer. I'll make it in the form of a motion.
Second.
When we close. Could we, shall I?
Please.
I'll make a motion that we send a communication to our city solicitor asking her, in the event that the Goddard School should close, what would happen to that commercial building? What could go into that commercial building, if anything?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Passes.
Thank you.
you. Madam Clerk, you have that request?
Yep.
Thank you, Diane.
Yes. How are you tonight?
Yourself.
Good, thank you.
So Elaine Doherty, 24 Day Circle. I had this big thing written out. Everybody's already said how dangerous this could possibly be. I've lived there for 40 years on Day Circle, lifelong resident of Woburn, and seen a lot happen over the years. Just the safety issue in moving that driveway only brings the driveway closer to the crosswalk that our children have to cross to get to the Reeves School. And even 30 years ago, when my kids went there, I can remember walking them to school, seeing the crossing guard step off the curb to stop things, and people accelerate to try to beat the crossing guard. Now, you can't tell me that a safety issue isn't going to get worse when people are frustrated with people coming in and out of a daycare center, and then they have to stop for a crossing guard. I mean, it's just really unbelievable that this can happen. And then, we talk a lot about the day circle, but you got to realize that going north on Cambridge Road, it's going to cause major problems. We've had this issue before, had to have signs put up on Day Circle to stop people from zooming through to Mayflower to get to Lexington Street. And that's going to continue. That's going to get worse. And people are going to see the sign, and they're still going to go. And you're going to have to worry about Parker Street and Morningside Drive, because people are going to see the backup, and they're going to try to cut over to Lexington Street on the other end. That's going to cause major issues in all of these neighborhoods and the Reeves School, where our children go. And I just, the safety issue is just, I'm sorry, it's just beyond anything. I mean, it's bad enough, I don't even go out Day Circle anymore. I always go up Mayflower Road, because I don't even want to deal with that over there. Tonight, when I was coming home on Lexington Street, and I forget the name of the preschool that's there, was all backed up. They were all in line. People were trying to take the left to get in, and they couldn't, because people were backed up because they couldn't get out because everybody was coming up Lexington Street, and it was causing a major traffic jam. And that's a wider area. It's a little bit less congested, and there's less houses in the area. So, I mean, I understand the Dover Amendment, but I also understand that there's a safety issue here that I think really has to be better looked at. My other question is, they said that under the Dover Amendment, you said it's a school or a church, right? Am I correct on that? Did we ever talk about a nonprofit school or a for-profit school? I think when this amendment went through, they were considering nonprofits, like a school from maybe a church school or, a public school. The for-profit schools have taken over. This amendment wasn't made for them. This amendment was made for others. And I really think we need to challenge that. It's just absolutely, like I said, to put it there is just, it's an abomination. And like they said, a commercial building right across from all these residential. So I just wanted to ask those questions. And is there a way that we can look at that to say, is it nonprofit versus profit? So, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
I can just answer that originally it started out as nonprofit. You're correct. But since then, it is now a daycare, any educational building. It doesn't have to be for nonprofit, unfortunately. But you are right. When it originally started, it was for nonprofit.
And is that because of past, like people, trying to challenge it, that they came across that? Or has that been a ruling somewhere along the line?
I don't know, actually. But I can find out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Again, just please look at all the safety issues of all the area around there.
No, we will, and just one other thing, we are also looking at making sure that there's some sort of crosswalk light there, which is going to help. And maybe we have to look at where the crosswalk actually is. So nothing's set in stone yet. So we're still working out the details, which is really good. And the details...
You gotta talk to the state about the lights.
Well, and the details... Well, the details are very important when it comes, we're at the point now, it's very important to get these details and the conditions right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Good evening. Mike Delano, 210 Cambridge Road. I've been reading a lot about this Dover Amendment and other things like that. It seems to me that when most of these cases go before courts, the court develops some kind of a test to decide that whether these things should be allowed or not. I think for the Dover Amendment, the biggest test should be, does this benefit the community that you're putting it into? Because I don't see where it benefits us. It benefits the guy that's building it. It benefits the people from other communities that are going to come here and, tear up our neighborhood. But there's got to be some kind of a test, like, does this benefit us? Does it help our people? You want to build something in our town? Sure, no problem, come on in. But does it do something that benefits us? I mean, the Dover Amendment was originally built because you had a affluent, bedroom community that was saying, no churches, no this, no that, and, people thought, oh, that's kind of snobby, so let's, we're going to force it on them, and that's what they did. But, now they're just going to all these, blue-collar towns like us, and they're just ramming it down our throats and stuff. I can guarantee you Mr. Bobrovsky would be raising holy hell if they went to his neighborhood and knocked down the house next door to his and said, hey, we're going to build a garden school. There'd be not a chance. Not a chance, And I have nothing against him, but I'm just saying, he wouldn't want it either, That's all I have to say on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public would like to speak in this matter?
I'm back one more time. Judy Stafford. I am just wondering if we did all this stuff through the fall, and I'm wondering if that's all, this is like to start over without prejudice. Does that mean that everything that was done before gets thrown away? Or does that all get carried forward?
This is a new petition starting over.
So so if we had concerns before, like I had about snow removal and lighting and all that, do I have to restate those things?
No,
Okay.
because we're all here.
Okay, so that's all on record, and that record can be carried forward? Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Ann Hedison, 8 Grace Road, Woburn. I just wanted to, something bothers me about the amount of kids. The last time we were here for the special meeting, I asked, and they were saying, well, based on Lexington, there's 10 cars at 7 a.m. and 15 cars and all that. But one of the things that was never said, the school holds 178 students. There's no reason why they all can't show up at 8 o'clock. There's nothing that says the contract states that your children come at exits between 7 and 9, as I understand it. 178 cars, or even half of that, trying to get in there at 7:30 in the morning. The cars would be backed up at the 4 corners all the way to 95. There is no doubt in my mind. Never mind, that's when the Reeve School, at 8 o'clock, those kids are going in. So I just wanted to make sure that you all understand, there's nothing in writing that says that those cars get spaced out over 2 hours. And to me, that's a very important thing, because that amount of traffic, if there was 1 car per kid, that's 178 cars converging on that area. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Colleen Delano, 210 Cambridge Road. At one of the earlier public meetings, after many, discord back and forth, I think it was Ward 5 counselor who at the end of the commentary stated, maybe it's time that, we try to take on the Dover Amendment or see if we could strategize to see if there was an angle that we, the community, might be able to, negotiate or defend against. So I'm just wondering if there's any follow-through that we've asked about, to the city solicitors, or anything that we came up with that we may be able to pursue, against the Dover Amendment now that it's, 75 years later, and, we're at this impasse.
Through the chair, I'm going to defer it to the ward alderman. I know she's been working very hard on this, so I don't want to take away her thunder. Councilor Campbell and Councilor Viola.
So, yes, obviously, we still have that. But when we were looking at the Dover Amendment and looking at the cases that we were seeing that we could potentially use to help us with this, to deny it, part of it was the setbacks, because it's not with, it was not following our regulations. The other part was,
Open space.
well, the open space, that's right. Open space was less than it was supposed to be. So we could hold our hats on that. The other part was, with, at least in my view, the not being able to have all the cars queued up onto the property at one point, the safety issue was even more so at that point. But the biggest thing was that it was still two properties. They were trying to squeeze this project onto two properties, and it just was not working. And now it's one. So can it still happen? Yes. But they've eliminated many of the issues that we could have held on to say, look, these are not regular, we have regular regulations and they're not following it, and now they are following it, except for the fact that it's zoned R1, obviously that's huge, but then we are facing the Dover Amendment. So, do you know what I'm saying? Like
I do. Yeah, I do know what you're saying, but I think as well within the Dover amendments, you know, the research and the readings that I have reviewed, I think within that, one of the things that you can defend or argue against is the safety.
Oh, absolutely.
The safety aspect. And I think, you know, in hearing from us at each of these meetings, safety is the biggest concern. You know, not only for the neighboring community, our own kids walking that path going to and from school, the high school kids, the bus stop is right there as well in the afternoon, but also the kids, you know, trying to get out of those 178 cars safely from there into the building. You know, it's just a risk that I think is tough to try to defend, to say that it's not going to be there. So I think in that aspect, you know, it's something that we should, as a community and as council members, you know, look into to see if there's, again, some way to, you know, negotiate and strategize, you know, against it.
I mean, just one other point is that we did have a traffic study done. We had VHS come and they told us there would not be a traffic issue, which of course we know, you know, I don't feel confident about that.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's not going to help our case
Sure.
In court, because we have a reputable organization saying that there is not going to be an issue, even though we feel that there is.
Mm-hmm.
The safety issue, you're right, is huge. I guess we would have to go back and look and see what else we might be able to use. Yeah, it's it's a little bit trickier now, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. And just to update
We
you,
had more beforehand.
I'm sorry?
We had more beforehand to be able to take to court
Yeah.
to get it denied than we do now.
Okay. And I think when I was here before you last time, I submitted our petition that went around the neighborhood. It's up to 77 neighbors who are against it, so I can, you know, forward that, you know, at the next meeting, just so that you're updated.
Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor?
Yes, Councilor Viola.
Safety is the number one priority when it comes to this project in general, especially being right on a main state road. As I've stated from the beginning, Cambridge Road goes from Billerica all the way to Boston. People travel it daily. I mean, I can't tell you how many thousands of cars travel that road. When I look at this project, I'm thinking about the safety aspect of it. I'm not thinking about the dollars, anything like that. When we sit down to vote on it, or when we go to the special permit committee, all of these issues will be worked out. If they're not going to be worked out, then maybe it's not a suitable fit for this area for this project. So we will look at this further with the safety issues and the aspects of it, as well as Councilor Campbell alluded to. I did mention before to the engineers that spoke in the last special permit committee meeting that I would like to see a pedestrian actuated crosswalk lights on Cambridge Road, is that the petitioner would place there for the safety of the students going to and from the Reeve School, or even anybody else that's crossing the road. And I would like the petitioner also, before this would be approved, to reach out to Mass DOT to make sure that they can do this. So that is some of the things that I am looking for and looking to talk about in the special permit committee meeting.
And Councilor Liddell?
Yes.
And then just one other point, we did send a letter to VHS to ask whether they felt that it would be safer having the driveway, the in and out in one area. Now, I didn't receive anything yet. Have you?
No.
So we haven't received anything from them to see what they thought about that. So we're waiting for that as well.
Yes.
I'm one of the new members to the council, so I've been an observer to several of these things. I haven't seen everything, but I've seen enough of it to get a general understanding. And my two concerns are the safety up there that you guys have brought up time and again, and the traffic. And I know that you guys, the petition has done a lot to alleviate a lot of this stuff. I'd like to see the detail around that, and I'm going to be kind of really looking at what is, I know the traffic getting queued on the property is a good thing, but what about the traffic that's coming into the unit? So just as a heads up, I'm looking at this thing, and I'm not convinced that this is a slam dunk. I know there's the Dover Amendment out there, and I know there's these other, pieces of this, but I'm really looking forward to see what the petitioner brings to solve some of these problems.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Attorney Bobrowski, are you good?
It's been helpful to us, Mr. President, to hear the conversation this evening. I'll take this back to my client, and we'll have a full report for you next time. If I can just answer one question that was raised.
Absolutely.
The Dover Amendment does not differentiate with regard to child care centers as to whether they're for-profit or nonprofit. There's a whole separate category of the Dover Amendment involving educational uses, and those must be nonprofit or governmental or church in order to be protected by the Dover Amendment. A child care facility is not a school in that category. It's a third category, if you will: churches, schools, child care facilities. And I warn every town that solar's next, because the land court's headed in that direction. Solar facilities are, in the opinion of the Chief Justice of the Land Court, entitled to full protection of the Dover Amendment, which means it can't be denied in town. But that's a story for another day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes.
If I could ask the attorney before he steps away. Attorney Bobrowski, I did ask in committee, which you weren't able to attend, for some colored renderings of what this project actually is going to look like. If you could have that for our next meeting.
Thank you. I will pass that along. I don't know the answer. Maybe I should just ask the question. Is it possible that we could meet with the committee prior to the hearing date on the 6th?
Sure.
Thank you.
We can set that
I'll
up.
work with Mr. Vincent to set that up.
Very
Again, good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Make a motion to grant the leave to withdraw without prejudice?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to allow to leave without prejudice. All in favor?
Aye.
That passes.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Unless the president...
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you. We are adjourned.